In this video, we will look at solving problems using systems of linear equations. Many job-related problems can be solved by setting up and solving systems of equations. The addition or substitution method can be used to solve application problems. The graphing method can work as well, but it's harder to work with, and I strongly recommend the other two. For example, two dry cells connected in series have a total internal resistance of 0.09 ohms. The difference between the internal resistances of the individual dry cells is 0.03 ohms. How much is each internal resistance? The first two sentences of the problem give us information to let us set up a pair of equations. The first tells us that the sum of the internal resistances of the two dry cells is 0.09 ohms. If we let X represent the internal resistance of one dry cell and Y represent the internal resistance of the other, we get the equation X plus Y equals 0.09. The second sentence tells us that the difference of the internal resistances of the two dry cells is 0.03 ohms. This means that one of the dry cells has a higher resistance than the other. So we will arbitrarily say that the dry cell with internal resistance represented by X has a greater resistance than the one with internal resistance represented by Y. This gives us the equation X minus Y equals 0.03. We can add together the two equations to eliminate Y. X plus Y equals 0.09, X minus Y equals 0.03. Adding these together, X plus X is 2X, Y minus Y is 0, and 0.09 plus 0.03 is 0.12. Since 2X equals 0.12, X equals 0.06. We can plug this into either of our original equations to solve for Y. We're plugging it into X plus Y equals 0.09 and replacing the X with 0.06. So 0.06 plus Y equals 0.09. Y equals 0.09 minus 0.06, so Y equals 0.03. This gives us a solution of 0.06, 0.03. That is, the dry cell with the higher internal resistance has internal resistance of 0.06 ohms, and the other has internal resistance of 0.03 ohms. Example 2. A tank holds a solution that is 10% herbicide. Another tank holds a solution that is 50% herbicide. If a farmer wants to mix the two solutions to get 200 gallons of a solution that is 25% herbicide, how many gallons of each solution should be mixed? This problem relies on our understanding of percentages, but isn't so hard to work out in the end. We'll start with the third sentence. The farmer wants to mix the two solutions to get 200 gallons of a solution that is 25% herbicide. The first part of the sentence gives us X plus Y equals 200, where X is the amount of solution that is 10% herbicide and Y is the amount of solution that is 50% herbicide. The same sentence tells us that we want to have 200 gallons of a solution that is 25% herbicide. 25% of 200 gallons is 50 gallons. We now know that 0.10x plus 0.50y equals 50, since 0.10 equals 10% and 0.50 equals 50%. We will use the method of substitution for this problem since it's easy to solve for either X or Y. We'll solve for X. If X plus Y equals 200, then X equals 200 minus Y. We plug this into the second equation to get 0.10 times 200 minus Y plus 0.50Y equals 50. That means that 20 minus 0.10Y plus 0.50Y is 50. 0.40y is 30, and y is 30 divided by 0.40, which is 75. There are 75 gallons of the 50% herbicide solution, so there are 200 minus 75 is 125 gallons of the 10% herbicide solution. Final example. Rosita has $5,500 to invest, and for tax purposes wants to earn exactly $500 interest for 1 year. She wants to invest part at 10% and the remainder at 5%. How much must she invest at each interest rate to earn exactly $500 interest in 1 year? This problem is very much like the last one. Rosita is going to invest a total of $5,500, part at 10% and part at 5%. Let's say X represents the amount that she invests at 10% and Y represents the amount she invests at 5%. Then X plus Y equals 5,500. Now remember our equation for simple interest. I equals PRT, where I is the interest, P is the principal, R is the rate, and T is the time. Since the time is 1 year, T equals 1, which makes things pretty easy for us. The rates are given, and we need to figure out the principal, which is X and Y for the different rates. Finally, we know that the sums of the interest earned on each account is $500. The equation here will be 0.10x plus 0.05y equals 500. We will again use the substitution method here, though it wouldn't be hard to use the addition method instead. This time we'll solve for y. If x plus y equals 5,500, then y equals 5,500 minus x. So 0.10x minus 0.05 times 5,500 minus x equals 0.10x minus 275 minus 0.05x, which is 0.05x minus 275 equals 500. This lets us say that 0.05x minus 275 equals 500. So 0.05x equals 500 minus 275, which is 225. Then x equals 225 divided by 0.05, which is 4,500. So if x equals $4,500, then y equals 5,500 minus 4,500, which is $1,000. The solution is for Rosita to invest $4,500 at 10% simple interest and $1,000 at 5% simple